Nam-Yong's editorial, Long, The Structural Roots of the Republic of Korea's Economic Crisis and a Grand Industrial Transformation Strategy, from Chaebol-Centered hardware manufacturing to SME and venture-led service industries, the economy of the Republic of Korea is not merely experiencing a cyclical slowdown. It has entered a period of structural transition. Real GDP growth stood at approximately 1.4% in 2023, and growth of around 2% is projected for 2024. Compared to the average growth rate of over 4% in the 2000s, the nation's growth potential has effectively been cut in half. I attribute this not to a normal business cycle, but to rigidity in the industrial structure. The Republic of Korea achieved compressed growth through hardware-based manufacturing industries centered on automobiles, steel, shipbuilding, and semiconductors. However, the global economy has already shifted toward an IT software and platform-based service economy. A fundamental transformation of the industrial structure is now unavoidable. According to global standards, the service sector accounts for more than 70% of GDP in advanced economies. The figure is approximately 77% in the United States and 79% in the United Kingdom. In contrast, the Republic of Korea stands at roughly 60%, and labor productivity in its service sector remains at only about 60% of the OECD average. Meanwhile, manufacturing accounts for about 27% of GDP, significantly higher than the OECD average of 15 to 18%. This structure increases export dependence and macroeconomic volatility. Exports amount to approximately 44% of GDP, a very high ratio compared to most advanced economies. The nation's economic structure is therefore highly vulnerable to external shocks. From a relational perspective, the key stakeholders include Chaebol conglomerates, small and medium-sized enterprises and ventures, the government and public administration, workers and professionals, and consumers and households. The current structure is characterized by large enterprise-centered vertical integration and financial concentration. The top 10 exporting firms account for more than 35% of total exports. The top 100 firms generate revenues exceeding half of GDP. SMEs account for only about 20% of total R&D investment. Without redesigning this relational structure, it will be difficult to restore growth potential. The nation has reached the structural limits of a manufacturing-centered growth model. Hardware manufacturing accounts for approximately 85% of total exports, led by semiconductors, automobiles, petrochemicals, steel, and shipbuilding. However, manufacturing employment represents only about 16% of total employment. A clear gap exists between growth and job creation. Memory semiconductors hold over 50% of global market share, yet their price volatility is high. In 2022 and 2023, falling semiconductor prices contributed to trade deficits. This demonstrates excessive dependence on a limited number of industries. Manufacturing is capital-intensive. Annual facility investment amounts to tens of trillions of won. This structure naturally reinforces a large conglomerate-centered system. Within subcontracting networks, SMEs struggle to accumulate independent brands and technologies. According to global competitiveness indicators of the World Economic Forum, while the Republic of Korea ranks highly in innovation capacity, it scores relatively lower in business dynamism. The diversity of the entrepreneurial ecosystem remains insufficient. Moreover, tightening global environmental regulations are increasing manufacturing costs. The industrial sector accounts for approximately 36% of total greenhouse gas emissions. The European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanism directly burdens steel and cement industries. Rising carbon prices affect export competitiveness. A manufacturing-centered strategy is vulnerable to evolving international norms. Industrial diversification is therefore also an environmental response strategy. A strategy for productivity innovation in the service sector is required. Hourly labor productivity in the Korean service sector is only about 50 to 55% of that in manufacturing. Wholesale, retail, and hospitality sectors generate lower value added compared to OECD averages. However, IT services and software industries have recorded average value added growth rates exceeding 5% over the past 5 years. In the United States, the software industry accounts for roughly 10% of GDP, and average wages are more than 1.5 times the national average. High value-added services function as engines of growth. Fintech, healthcare, edutech, and AI-based platforms have low marginal costs and strong scalability. Israel invests approximately 5% of GDP in research and development, the highest level globally. As a result, despite a population under 10 million, it sustains thousands of technology startups. Venture investment in the Republic of Korea reached approximately 12 trillion won in 2022, but has recently declined. Greater policy consistency and ecosystem reinforcement are required. Regulatory innovation in healthcare, education, finance, and legal services is essential. The regulatory sandbox of the United Kingdom's Financial Conduct Authority has demonstrated that over 90% of participating firms successfully entered the market. The Republic of Korea must open data-driven administrative services. Public data should be provided in API form to stimulate private sector service development. The government must transition toward an IT-based platform model. Innovation in national industrial architecture based on federal enterprise architecture is necessary. FEA integrates business, data, application, and technology architectures into a unified design framework. I argue that industrial strategy must be redesigned from an enterprise-wide architectural perspective. Fragmented policies across ministries generate duplication and inefficiency. Data standardization and interoperability are central tasks. This is fundamentally a challenge of technological architecture innovation. Public data policy must shift from simple disclosure to active utilization. The United States federal government promotes private business through centralized data portals. Although the Republic of Korea has increased the number of datasets released, commercial utilization remains limited. Cloud transition rates must be accelerated. The nation already possesses world-class digital infrastructure. The next step is to industrialize it. The national R&D budget exceeded approximately 30 trillion won in 2023. However, allocation remains concentrated in large enterprises. Resources must be reallocated toward pilot projects and service model development for SMEs and ventures. The government should act as a catalyst. A venture-centered ecosystem redesign is imperative. Labor market and human capital transformation are also required. The expanded youth unemployment rate is estimated at around 20%. Many young people prefer stable employment. However, in a service innovation economy, entrepreneurship and professional expertise are crucial. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics projects IT and professional services occupations to grow the fastest over the next decade. The Korean education system must pivot toward digital capability. AI-based personalized education should be expanded. Universities must be restructured into industry-linked innovation institutions. A national lifelong learning framework should be established. Professional sectors must also strengthen digital competencies. Human capital restructuring must accompany industrial transformation. Denmark's flexicurity model offers a valuable reference. It combines labor flexibility with robust social safety nets. Job training and transition support systems must be reinforced. The nation must move beyond a manufacturing-centered employment model. This requires broad social consensus. Structural prescriptions for honest citizens are essential. Under a manufacturing-centered system, the gains of growth are concentrated among a limited few. Large conglomerates and capital holders achieve high returns, while productivity in SMEs and self-employed sectors remains low. A service innovation economy enables broader opportunity distribution. It rewards creativity and professional competence. The government must redefine strategic industries. AI software, IT services, education, healthcare, finance, legal services, and family services should be designated as core national industries. Taxation, finance, regulation, and education policies must be redesigned coherently. Industrial transformation requires a comprehensive approach. The Republic of Korea possesses sufficient IT infrastructure and human resources. The challenge lies in structural design and policy consistency. I assert that the national economic architecture must be redesigned. Honest citizens must be able to reap rewards commensurate with their effort. My argument is not to neglect the hardware manufacturing industries in which we excel. It is to elevate the service sector to equal strategic importance. Thank you for watching Nam-Yong's editorial long.